Everyone, and welcome to Emerging Brands Franchises on the Rise. I'm your host, Cash Miller. I'm the CEO of Titan Media Works. We do podcast production. Today, we got a great show because we're going to be talking about animals, dog grooming. We got, there's some great retail, places you can go. And I've got one of them with me, Central Bark. I've got Bob Crawford. He's the CEO. Bob, it is great to have you on. I love animals. So having somebody that is their specialty, that is the greatest thing. Tell us a bit about yourself, Bob, and, about the franchise, about the business.
Oh my gosh. Well, Cash, thank you very much for having me. Central Bark is a leading brand in the pet services space. So we do dog daycare, overnight boarding, grooming, and training. We have 40 locations across 13 states, with about 30 that are sold but not open. We're a premier offering in the industry. We were a leader. We started in the late 90s, our business, and I joined a couple years ago to help modernize the business, help take it to the next level. I grew up with dogs, and I have one dog right now. We have a team of people on my team, and believe it or not, between all of us, we have 43 dogs. So we are dog lovers, and it's a pleasure to be here with you all today.
And you told me before the show that one employee's got like 6 dogs, and you've only got one. You need to, you got to rectify that at least a little bit.
You sound like my team, Cash. You sound like my team.
Well, your dog might be a little lonely. You're at work, so unless you get to bring them in every day, which, you're the boss, so maybe you do. But yeah, it's like you guys, the space that you're in as a business has been booming. I want you to tell us a little bit about that, because it is because you guys are more of a healthy, better choice. You're like really about, caring for the animals, and rather than, you're not the off the shelf, buy the whatever dog food at Walmart and stuff like that. But it's also a place for them to play. So I'd like you to go into a little bit, what's this industry kind of been doing over the last few years? Because I know it's growing dramatically. And then how are you tapping into it, like the kind of services you're offering to capitalize on it?
Yeah, our specialty, our mission is really around providing whole dog care. That's what we call it, whole dog care. So that's services offered for the emotional, physical, and social health of dogs. And our model puts the dog first. It's a dog-centric operating model. So we believe that, a well-adjusted, well-rested dog is just, he or she enjoys their own life better. They are less anxious and they're more positive to be around everybody, other dogs, family members, owners, et cetera. So just a few things about the category. There are 90 million dogs in America right now, and there's only 74 million children under the age of 18. So there are more dogs than kids in America today, and you see it everywhere. You go on hotels, there are dogs. Airlines, there's dogs. College campuses, there's dogs. Restaurants, you know it, you see it.
Yeah.
And that transition or that crossover happened right before COVID and happened about 2018 or 2019. And then COVID just accelerated it. And I think the other thing that COVID did is just increase the awareness of mental health of not only of our young people, but also our pets. And that's kind of another outcome of COVID. I think there was more of a realization of not only of people's mental health, but also pets and dogs, specifically mental health. So we know that dogs are meant to play with each other, and we have a curriculum that is dedicated and devoted to that. So it's just one kind of component of our business. We'll get into more, but that we really focus on and we really take to heart.
I want to, just because a couple of things that you said strike me a lot personally. Before the show, I mentioned I've got this like really big wolf hybrid husky. He's a northern Inuit, I think, but he's like 90 pounds, huge husky. And he is my best friend. And the thing is like you mentioned mental health and stuff. I'm an Army vet personally. And I was diagnosed with PTSD, by the Veterans Administration and stuff, the VA. My dog is my go-to to relax. Like if there's a ton of chaos or I'm just feeling a little bit overwhelmed, I go pet my dog. He feels me. He understands. He'll just, he'll just be there for as long as I need him to. And that's the thing. And that's one of the great things about animals because I know they sense when you're stressed and things, when you've got, that kind of stuff going on in your life, and they will just be there. They'll be patient. And then the flip side is you talk about that they need to be able to play. And, like we have this other dog, her name is Roxy, and she's an Alaskan Husky, and we just got her, I don't know, like 6 or 8 months ago or something. She's the happiest dog ever. Like I will open up our bedroom door and this dog will come bouncing in, just happy as could be to see you, and so it's like you can't even get mad at this dog, no matter what she does wrong, because she's always happy. She just looks like she enjoys life so much, and we got her from a pound, from
Yeah.
Paws, and I think, I don't know, somewhere deep down, she still remembers, being stuck behind a cage. Yeah. And now she's not. And she gets to play out back and she wrestles with the other dogs and stuff. And so I just think that, what you guys are doing in providing them space, because they are great for us as humans, that we have those companions, but we have to return that with them, and give them that freedom as well.
We have a saying that part of our vision is that every dog will have a central bark experience that mirrors the unconditional love that a dog provides to us, and that's what you're talking about. This is a business based on love and joy, and pure love and pure joy. And what we do as a brand is we have an operating model that starts with that then provides services around that and an operating policies and procedures to really leverage that, tap into it, play it back, and create a meaningful experience for the dogs. And as a dog owner, and your listeners as dog owners too, you all know when a dog goes somewhere that they love going to, and when the opposite is true as well. So dogs will tell you, and every day dogs are voting with their paws to come to
Yeah.
Central Park.
Oh yeah, no, I totally get it. I travel a bit, and when I get home, my family is like, okay, you're home. My dog is like, hey, give me a hug. Dude, where have you been?
Yep.
Yeah.
90 pounds of dog times two. You got 100 and almost 200 pounds of dog on you. Yeah, that's
good. He will get on his hind legs and he will literally, try to climb up on me and stuff. And it's hilarious, but you can't, it's hard to resist. Yeah. So you've got this and I would assume your franchisees have a real animal passion, dog passion as well, because this is the kind of business model that, when you have that passion, you really buy into, and it makes it, so much easier. It's like, they say, if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. You get to work with animals all day, even if they're not yours, they're other people's, but you see all these great dogs come in and stuff, so I assume your franchisees are real passionate about it too.
They are. And that's probably some of the most rewarding things that when I get to see is when I'm visiting with franchisees, how they interact with the dogs and the pet parents. It's really gratifying. It's so clear to me that our franchisees are making a positive difference in the lives of their clients and the lives of the dogs, and then the community itself at large. And it's really gratifying and rewarding. And our business gives them the ability to do that.
Okay, so let's go into the kind of breakdown. I know that we can drop dogs off and stuff, but go into the breakdown from a, I guess, business model standpoint. What are we offering as a whole? And just and kind of, if you can, and I don't know if you know these kind of numbers, but roughly, if you could start with say the average store sales, and then break it down by category so we know where the business is really coming from. If you're able to, if there's any kind of percentages or rough, ideas of, hey, we get this much out of retail, this is how much, because I want to understand, how do we make, what do we sell? How do we, make money from it?
Yeah. So item 19 in our 2023 FDD has our average unit volume about $732,000. And, half our businesses are above that. with the top tier being on averaging over $1 million of annual unit revenue. As a So that's the
Yeah.
2023
Hmm.
item 19. As a mix, about 60% of our business is daycare.
Okay.
About 20% is overnight. About 16% or so on average is grooming. So that's the majority of their business. Then we do some retail business on top
Okay.
of that. And the range though is quite diverse. The mix can range anywhere between 5 and 25 points one way or the other, given how unique the market is. And there's some markets that do a huge amount of grooming business, like double the number, like 35% of their business is grooming. Others have really gotten behind the overnight business, and it's pushing 40%. So, but I give you the averages just so
Yeah.
you can understand how those model out.
So that's kind of interesting. So the boarding part and the day, dropping them off for the day and things is a
Mhm.
huge, money
Mhm.
maker for you. Um,
Mhm.
Talk to me about the competition in the space, because when I think of, you got the retail, but I think grooming, like you have big retailers like Petco does grooming and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they're not covering these other areas.
Yeah.
So I want to, and I know there's a membership aspect to this as well. So I think that there's got to be a lot of customer loyalty you're able to build,
Mhm.
because to me, on the surface, just on the outside looking in, you've got different competition, but they're handling an aspect, but not all of these things together.
Mhm. That's exactly right. I mean, we have a unique, suite of services that we offer, and we just got done with some consumer research. And I thought it was going to be good, and it ended up being great.
Oh, yeah.
Just the satisfaction that our clients have to the services that our franchisees offer. I think there's like 5 areas that we differentiate ourselves in, and one of them is small group play. Headline competitively, there's probably 30,000 other competitors out there in this space. Some combination of mom and pop grooming, mobile
Mhm.
grooming, kennel, overnight
Okay.
daycare, some combination. The most common, it's a very fragmented space.
Yeah.
So so the way we develop, how are we different, better, and special at Central Bark, right? So there's like 5 components. One is that we focus on small group play.
Hmm.
So no more than 15 dogs per handler, and that's good for the dog. So we don't believe in larger groups than that. Excuse me.
That sounds like a large group to me. I'm thinking of the handler, and you got 15 dogs. The 3 I've got at home could be a
Well,
handful.
the thing is, they have to pass. All dogs have to pass a behavior assessment, and that's the second area how we're different is that some locations, other pet services concepts out there will we say will excuse me discriminate against certain breeds. So, and we do not do that. As long as a dog can pass a behavior assessment, then we will accept that dog into our location. And it's a pretty extensive behavior assessment too. It's a multiple hour kind of behavior assessment to make sure
Yeah.
that the dog can be well adjusted. That's really important.
I
So,
I want to say something about that too. I think that is really important that you do that, because you're not prejudging the dog based on the breed. And there are a lot of different organizations, whether it be, I know in some cases it could be like apartment rentals to, public spaces to, any number of things that say, you have this dog, we automatically say you can't have this dog around here. And they know nothing. Like, you look at my dog, you think he'd be fierce and everything. And I've seen my dog climb our back fence and go straight up to somebody walking their dog. He's not trying to attack. He is determined to play with that dog. Okay. He will ignore the person, but he sees that dog. So I had to build a higher fence, you know.
yeah.
But if you if you just based it on the breed, you would say, no, he can't be around. And he is great around other dogs.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly our philosophy, and it plays out. And so there's certain large dogs that you would sort of look at it, you're like, oh my gosh, here's a dog with a reputation, let's say,
Yeah.
and the dog is the most, the dog passes with flying colors and is the most, gentle, docile kind of dog. Other dogs that that just for whatever reason, just they're anxious or it's just not right for them, that don't pass it. So that's the second area that I think separates us apart. The third area is we have mandatory rest periods every day,
Hmm.
and that's also really important because the job of the task of dropping your dog off at a dog daycare is not to tire your dog out. It is, of course, to have the dog, recreate and play, but dogs on average sleep for 40% of the day.
Hmm.
They rest for 40%, and then they're active for 20. Now, a young lab may be a little different. I get it. But that's the average 40, 40, 20, 40 sleep, 40 rest, 20 play. And so we have a resting schedule that mimics that and mirrors that, because at the end of the day, when an owner comes and picks up their dog, we don't want the dog to be overly tired, overly anxious. And that is a thing. That is truly a thing.
Okay.
So that's a third area that we are
I got to
different.
ask, how do you make a dog rest on a schedule?
So we have a curriculum. So we have every dog has a kennel, and so that's part of the behavior assessment as well to make sure a dog is comfortable in going into
Uh,
a kennel. And many of our franchisees have dark spaces in a kennel, the kennel room. We
got it.
have soft music playing as well, and just takes the temperature down, so to speak. So
Yeah.
it's an amazing thing. And the dogs know after a while that that's good for them. And so they'll do some self-soothing, behaviors that we will see as well that will
Hmm.
reinforce that. So that's the third area. We also have a mandatory outdoor play space. We believe that dogs are meant to be outside. So as given the environment of many of where our locations are, that could be 10 months a year, 12 months a year.
Hmm.
But that's really important to be outside. And then the fifth area is, as you mentioned, a weekly requirement.
Okay.
Dogs are social creatures. They were bred to be social creatures. They are social creatures. They're meant to be with other dogs. And dogs, there's nothing as much fun as watching dogs play with other dogs. I mean, it really is. It's good for their social. It's good for their physical well-being, their
Yeah.
social well-being, and mental health. So, finding dogs that play with other dogs is really healthy for whole dog care, and it's healthy for the
Hmm.
dog. And sometimes the dogs are, cooped up in, in an apartment or a home all day without any interaction, and just a little bit of interaction, in this
Hmm.
environment, at a Central Park helps really kind of, I think, develop into a more help the dog develop into a more balanced dog.
If you're bringing in the dogs, like you said, once a week, are the owners signing up for some sort of a auto charge membership fee,
Yeah.
saying, hey, and, with reminders saying, hey, your dog's due tomorrow, kind of thing.
Mhm.
Is that what's kind of happening? And what does it cost?
Yeah, that's in general. That's exactly right. So the rates are different by market. So they're determined by local markets
Hmm.
uniqueness. But that's in general the case. So there's usually a set day, and often that mirrors the owner's schedule. The owner may
Sure.
have the pet parent may have something going on Tuesdays, right?
Yeah.
And so, working with that schedule, of course, are there differences? Things happen? Yes. But even if there's not a set schedule, just the fact that the pet parent can kind of have a little time to do things that they need to do, maybe some quiet time and time of reflection, knowing that their dog is enjoying themselves is equally as fun. And at the end of the day, when I'm in a franchisee and I see I see an owner come in to pick up their dog. I mean, both are so happy. The owner's happy. I mean, they had a whole day, and the dog is happy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a
Yeah.
win-win for everybody.
Do you have kind of an average membership fee? I know you said it varies depending on market, but there's a rough number.
Yeah, I mean, I think the range is anywhere from in our system right now is anywhere from about $33 to I think
Oh,
$48 per day per day.
yeah.
So it's on. I think the average is close to 40.
Okay.
But given certain market dynamics, it can be different in other places.
Okay, so if I sign up my dog and you say, well, we want you to bring them in at least, like once a week, so it would cost like $160 though over the course of a month. Would that
That's
be right if
yeah,
I'm doing once a week?
40 times four. Yeah, 40 times four.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a five Mondays, or the deal. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you have, or have you seen numbers that just say how many people on average for a location end up signing up for that kind of a that service?
Yeah, so we do. So we have a lot of really good metrics on the number of location, the number of dogs per day, the number of, because then we have so one dog can come multiple times a day as well. So,
Oh, okay.
the customer counts are a little different. There's some dogs that come 5 days a week. Yeah,
Wow, they
and
got there's some owners with
or
some deep
three
pockets.
days. Yeah, well, and the thing is that's right. The owner wants a dog, and they want to invest in having a dog, and they know that, for whatever reason, that they're not able to provide that,
Hmm.
that experience to the dog. So they carve it out in their life to, to go to a Central Bark, and it's
Got it.
it's good for the dog. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into like the franchise investment, because these are
Mhm.
it's looks like it's a significant investment to get going. So what's kind of your range, and then what is the money going towards? Because I know in some franchises I talk to, it may sound large, but then they're saying, well, we have 3 or 6 months worth of operating capital. And now it's not as much because you're thinking, okay, well, I need money to operate this business for a while. So can you give us
Mhm.
kind of a breakdown of that?
Yeah, and that's in the FDD as well. But in general, the initial investment in item 7 is about between, let's say, this is the 2023 numbers. So between 550 and $950,000 is
Okay.
the initial investment. 49,000 of is a franchise fee. There's 3 months of working capital. And then the majority of the investment is in the form of leasehold improvements,
Yeah.
kennels, turf, to get started, fencing to get started, and just the general investment to, get a building into the Central Park standard.
Okay. What's the average square footage for a facility?
hmm The average square footage right now is about 7,000 square feet.
Oh,
They
wow.
range
These
anywhere from 6,000 to 10,000,
Okay.
and there's a couple that are a little above 10,000 as well.
Well, that explains where that build out cost comes from, and also why there could be quite a bit of a range because depending on the market you're in, you're
Yeah,
going to have
exactly.
higher construction costs and stuff. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's not. How hard is it typically to find locations when you're looking at 7,000 plus square feet?
Yeah, that's in general the toughest part is finding the right real estate that's zoned correctly and appropriately. So we do not need to be on state and main, right? We do not need to be on
Right.
class A retail space. So
Okay.
most of our locations are in light industrial or retail B
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it makes sense.
locations. So yeah, that are centrally located, but not, you don't pay the highest rent per square foot.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense because a lot of those they start as shells if you're finding any kind of new construction and you're able to build them out to spec and stuff. So yeah, that would make for a good strategy because you only have so much competition because you're centralizing a lot of different services versus the the pet owner going to a bunch of different things. I got to go to the groomer over here and now I got boarding over here and and I think the socializing aspect doesn't yeah, a, there's a lot of boarding and grooming and things like that, but the socializing aspect, there's not a lot of businesses built around that piece.
Yeah. 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 That's our legacy. That's how we started. I mean, we started off as a doggy daycare business, and then we added training.
Mm.
Then because of customer requests, right? But then we added grooming because of customer requests. And we added overnight boarding because of customer requests. And
Yeah,
and that was the legacy of our business. Over the last 20 plus years, we've actually perfected an operating model where we can talk about the things I'm talking with you.
yeah,
These have been tried and tested sort of principles and revenue streams for us.
yeah. I am curious just if the original founders are still involved at all.
Yeah, so they are involved as advisors
Yeah.
for us and for me. So they have taken themselves out of the day to day, running the day to day. So the two
Mm.
founders are Chris Gaba, who started a business in Florida in early 2000s, and then Jackie Jordan, who started the business in Milwaukee in the late 90s. They
Hmm.
merged their business in 2003, started franchising in 2004.
Uh, Okay. Well, let's get into the actual training. You've got franchise owners or prospective, when they first come on, uh, how long, like what does the training look like? How long does it take to go through? And
Mhm.
also what does ongoing training for not just the owners, but also staff?
Yeah. So we've got so my background a little bit, I spent 10 years or 16 years in Fortune 500 companies, first for the Quaker Oats company and then the Coca-Cola company. Our training that we offer is, I went through all of it. I'm a certified dog, trainer right here. And
Yeah.
I tell you what, our training is spectacular. We have 2 weeks of on the ground training, everything from how does our POS system work to how do we check in dogs, how do we manage, how do we help provide some direction in terms of how to manage groups, how to look at dog behavior, how to understand how to just organize dogs into appropriate play groups, and just provide a lot of, it's 2 weeks of just in-depth training. It routinely gets really high marks for helping our franchisees get up and running. So after you sign a franchise agreement, we will meet with you weekly. We'll put on a schedule together. We've got a pretty good process down. Meet weekly with milestones and progress against milestones, and we've got a pretty good, very well done process for that. And the training on specifically how to run a pet services concept in a Central Park way is what we specialize in. So that's just the first, and then the soft opening will be, we will be there for the week of the soft opening to help people get up to speed. After that, there's constantly, we have learning. We have an LMS learning a software schedule. We have modules that you can tap into. We also have manager training 4 or 5 times a year that we
Mm.
offer to for if managers want to come and brush up on certain skills or learn certain topics that they don't feel as they're strong on. And then we have franchise business coaches that will be in your market, in your location,
Huh.
at least three times a year to really help put together plans. And that's in person, but we meet. They meet with the franchisees on a monthly basis to review the numbers, review the objectives, review the strategies. So we've got a really combination of in person, online, virtual kind of touch points, and then we have our annual franchise conference where we really kind of focus on new news, new direction, new initiatives to really
Huh.
kind of tie it all together. So we've got a really good approach to help ensure franchise success.
I like the piece where you're reviewing the numbers per store, using those coaches to go through it and such to on a
Yeah.
monthly basis, so because a lot of business owners often don't understand their numbers well enough, and what's making them successful. Uh, so having somebody that does, take that in-depth, that deep dive with them on a regular basis, I think is really important. What do you guys look for? What makes like the ideal franchise owner for you?
Yeah, it's really about fit. I mean, I think there's a combination of three things. One is its passion for the mission of our business, right? If you see whole dog care as something that you can get behind, if you have the vision for providing more Central Park experiences to dogs across the country, then that's a real key critical part. Is first it's fit in terms of the passion and for the mission and the vision of the business. I think the other two areas are just strong demonstrated management ability is really important, and that can take the form of many different areas. I mean, you can be a really strong manager, but yet build those skills in a nonprofit, or a
Yeah.
volunteering kind of capacity. So it's really just, it doesn't necessarily have to be business, but it's strong management abilities, right? Set objectives and set goals and follow up and put the team in place and course correct as needed, and just be kind of fearless in how you look at that. And then I think the third area is a leadership mindset, and that is ability to lead effectively, right? Do you lead in the community? Many franchisees are absentee owners or
Mhm.
multi-unit owners, so ability to lead comes into, can you put managers in place
Yeah.
overseeing the stores that are equally as leadership oriented? So it's really helping lead to tell the story about Central Bark, how to build a following, build a great experience, and how to know how to look for just cues and
Mhm.
important elements that to be able to lead effectively.
I didn't ask this question earlier, but I am curious how many staffers it takes for a Central Bark store, to be run.
Yeah, well, it depends how many dogs per day are in. It also depends, the sort of the mix of the business as well. But we range anywhere from, let's say, 10 to 30 employees on average. It depends on the size of that you have as well, and how many part timers. And
Yeah.
there's so many variables. And our franchisees are obviously the people that are the hiring and managing. But that's the range is between 10 and 30.
Hmm. Yeah, that's quite a bit of range, but I assume the higher numbers are probably more part timers to help fill in schedule gaps and stuff.
Yep, and larger locations too that have
Yeah.
multiple playgroups.
Yeah, you said they can get up to like 10,000 square feet or so.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's gonna 50% larger than the lowest size. So that's
Yep.
quite a bit different.
Yep.
Well, this has been great. How do people, if they want to look at, they want to check out a Central Bark franchise opportunity, how do they get a hold of you? Where should they be going to find more information?
Yeah. So please go to centralbarkusa.com. So www.centralbarkusa.com.
Yeah, and I want to make a couple of notes. There's a centralbarkfranchising.com. And if you go on the site, there is a great virtual tour that gives some, really good a very good idea of what a facility looks like because it literally walks you through. If you ever did one of the Google tours inside of a business, it's the same thing, and you can kind of get a feel for the layout and the play pens and stuff where the dogs can play, and then the other areas of the facility. So it's very informative by going through there. This has been great. Yeah, so like if you are looking for a franchise opportunity, and if you really love animals, especially dogs, this is really an outstanding opportunity. The pet care and just general pet business has been growing exponentially. Because there are so many pet parents that are taking more care for their animals. Like they're looking at what do they need to eat healthier. Like I said, they have companions, they can play with other animals, they have outdoor spaces and such, and that's where this business capitalizes on that. And so if you're looking for something that's really got, an industry that's growing exponentially, but there's also a lot of fun. If you want to be a business owner, you should be doing something that you really have a passion for. If you are a pet owner and you really love your pets, you might want to be in this business. So I encourage you to check it out. It is a wonderful opportunity. There is a lot of growth going on, and this is a company that really knows what it's doing. Bob, it's been great having you on. And hey, my name's Cash Miller. I'm the CEO of Type Media Works. We do podcast production. This is Emerging Brands, Franchises on the Rise, where we dive into some of these great businesses, great opportunities for entrepreneurs that are looking to expand and those that want to become entrepreneurs. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you on the next episode.